Hello friends, it's Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. Thank you so much for joining me in another tutorial. If this is your first tutorial from my channel and you're new, I want to say welcome. Welcome to all of you, by the way. But welcome if you're new. I hope you find lots of inspiration on my channel. In this tutorial, we're going to make this messy bun beanie with a matching neck warmer. Now, this beanie is Shelleyfied. Meaning I am not going to use an elastic at the top. I have decided to leave the opening in a different way. So you're going to want to watch that and make it, you know, when you have a ponytail, you already have elastic in your hair. So why do we need another one on the beanie? So I have done this a little bit differently and I hope you like it. Okay, we're going to use Caron Latte Cakes, the lovely layers in the color rose. Now I'm not sure that you can get this particular lovely layers yarn anymore. You might be able to find some, but use your favorite Caron Latte Cakes because they're all absolutely gorgeous in my opinion. So we're going to use one cake and you will have enough of that cake left to probably make another beanie. Like there is so much left that it's just a fun project and very cost effective. So thanks again for joining me. I hope that you enjoy this tutorial. Please don't forget to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. That would help me out a lot. And once you have your machine, I'm using my 46 needle Addi, but go ahead, use your 48 needle Sentro. And if you want a little bit narrower neck warmer, you could always use your 40 needle Sentro as well. So again, friends, let's get our supplies and get going on this tutorial. Have fun. We are going to begin. So let's take our yarn and we're going to bring our last white and our first black needle in line with our yarn feeder, just like that. We're going to do a drawstring cast on. We're going to go in front of that first black, behind, in front, and behind, all the way around, making sure you let that yarn just slip through your fingers. Do not put any extra tension on it. And we're going to go all the way to the end. I'm watching for that black divider to come around so that I take a black permanent marker and mark, and again I have to do it again. And we're behind that last white, into our yarn feeder we go. And you want to knit slowly for this first round. There is no weight to pull these loops down over these little red teeth yet. And so you got to give them time to get there. So as those loops drop down over those red teeth, the yarn needle picks up the yarn and takes it down and makes your stitch. Before we get to the end of the row, we're going to set our row counter to 0. And we will be ready to begin. So that is our cast on completed. Now we're going to keep going, and as you know, I love Caron Latte Cakes, and our machines love them even more. So this is an easy project, because seriously, if you get a tucked stitch, I will be shocked. It will be because you're putting way too much tension on your yarn, and it's not able to fall down over that white needle. So just put a loose tension. I hold it like this between my fingers, and just let it slip through, okay? I'm excited because there are many ponytail or messy bun beanies, not many, but there are several on YouTube that you can find at your leisure. They all use elastics, and I thought, well, you already got an elastic in your hair to hold your ponytail. Is it necessary to put one in on your beanie? And so we're going to make this beanie without an elastic, and it will be a messy bun beanie. So I'm going to keep knitting like this until my project starts to touch the table. And when it does, you're going to want to roll it up into a donut so that it keeps the tension along the inside of the rim of the barrel nice and firm as you're knitting. Just clicked on row 130, and I'm watching for that black divider to come around, and I'm going to stop it in front of my yarn feeder. Then we're going to take a yarn tail that's long enough to go around your barrel twice. We're going to cut that yarn tail off, open your latch, pop this between the last white and the first black because we still have to knit these two. Make sure you close your latch because you don't want to break a needle, okay? Then you're going to grab your needle that you're going to cast off with. We're going to do the drawstring cast off. Pop that on your needle. Then you're going to hold this so that we can knit these two, and we're going to rotate our barrel almost one full turn. You see, these needles are popping up. We don't want this one to pop up because that's the first one that we're going to take off. So you have to stop before that needle comes up. This is your first stitch. To the left of your black divider, you're going to pull that through. And then the next one. And the next, and once we get a little bit of slack, we can take a few at a time. Pulling straight out so that you don't, this yarn gets a little tangly because of the little flecks that are in it. You can turn your barrel again, but once we get some slack on here, we can take a few at a time. Hold them on your needle with your thumb. Pull straight out, because if you pull up and you pull too hard up, you might risk dropping your stitch off your next needle. So you want to be very careful with that. Okay, I'm going to go around until I have all 46 stitches on my needle. There we go. We have it off our machine. Now I'm going to just remove my machine and we're going to move on to the next part. All right, so taking our piece, we are going to unroll it. Oh, it's so soft and so beautiful. Give it a gentle stretch. Once that good stretch is done, look how beautiful these colors are. Oh, it's just so gorgeous. You're going to stick your hand inside and you're going to find the tail. There it is. And you're going to pinch that end and grab the tail and you're going to bring it through so that your piece is in half. Okay. Then what you want to do is you want to smooth it all out on the inside as well, bringing these two ends together, these two tails, so that they're close to each other. That's close enough. That way you know that these are all, that's all smooth and perfectly lined. There we go. Then what you're going to do is you're very literally going to take these very simply, very easily. You're going to take these two. You're going to pop your hand in there. And when your wrist is in there, you're going to pull it tight. Everybody's wrist is a different size. I do realize that, but it's just to get it nice and smoothed out. And then from there, you're going to just very roughly measure it across. Okay, so let's take this side. We're going to take this measuring tape and we're going to just very roughly measure it to about 3 inches. Okay, I need it to be a little bit tighter. Just about like that. Okay, so you want about a 3-inch opening. Then from there, you're going to take your yarn tail, you're going to pop it on your needle, and you're going to just tie it off so that you can't gather it anymore. So I'm just going to put a little knot in there, just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to use this inside one now as my guide for how wide I want it to be. Okay, you can just stick your fingers in there. This yarn is very soft, so it's a little bit tricky to work with, but it is just so absolutely gorgeous. And I'm going to make that opening equal to the one that's on the inside there. That's 3 inches. And when I get it to the same approximate, there we go. I'm going to measure that just to see if I measured it right. It's a little bit. There we go. That's better. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie off this one too, just so it doesn't gather anymore. Very, very simple technique here. We're going to just put a little knot in there and it's not going to gather anymore on us. And I'm going to leave this long because we're going to sew yet. Okay. Then you can take these two yarn tails and you can tie a knot so that you're tying the inside one up to the outside one, just like that. You no longer need this shorter one, so give it a little haircut, tuck it in between the 2 layers, just like that, to get it out of your way. Then you're going to just hold these together, the inside to the outside, and you're going to stitch around, going through both layers, just like this. Pull through. Go over to the next row. With this little fuzzy stuff, you can't really see where the rows are very easily, so you're just going to evenly space it out as you go around. If you can get in between a stitch there, here's my row of stitches. If I can get in between that stitch there and on the other side, that's good. but you don't have to really pay too much attention to that with this kind of yarn. When you're using a yarn that doesn't have the flex in it, it's much easier to see, and then you can keep it neater by going into the stitches. Okay, and I'm gonna go very close to each other, just like this, all the way around. Then you've got that opening at the top of your beanie that once you have your hair in a ponytail, you just gotta grab that little tail end of your hair and pull it through, and you've got a beautiful, beautiful messy bun beanie to hold your ponytail. I'm going to go all the way around, and I'll meet you when I get to the other side. I've made it all the way around. It's looking absolutely beautiful. I'm going to tie off in a knot. That's one. And two. Take that, pop it in between my two layers. Cut it off. And friends, we're gonna just smooth that out again, roll up our brim. That's one side. I'm not so certain that I like the colors on that side. There, that's much better. Gives us a better variety of colors if we roll it up, because we see the blue on this side. Then you've got your opening that you can easily reach in there, grab your ponytail and pull it out. All right, friends, so let's start the second part of our project, which is our neck warmer. I want you to grab some waste yarn. So this isn't the yarn that's going to stay on our project. It's just going to help us see the stitches so we can close our ends together. Okay, so grab a color that's different from your working yarn. We're going to cast on in front of that first black, then behind, and in front and behind all the way around. Again, just letting it slip through your fingers loosely. Pull it out of the ball there. And it should be behind that last white. Into the yarn feeder it goes. And you're going to go slowly on this first round. Just to give that loop a chance to go down over those red teeth. When there's no weight of your project pulling it down, it takes a little bit more effort for that loop to fall down. So that's why you need to go a little bit slower, and that's why you need to do your cast on row loosely. Okay, so I'm going to just knit about 5 to 7 rows. Typically I do 7. If you follow my tutorials, you know that. I think this is 3 or 4. Let's say 4. And 5. And magic of camera, this is 7. Okay, so I'm going to stop with my first and my last needle in front of my yarn guide, and I'm going to set my row counter to 0. I like to do it before I get this distance, actually, halfway around my last row, but that's okay. As long as this first one doesn't turn it yet, okay? Because I like to know what row I'm on. And so that's why I set it prior to finishing my last row of waste yarn. We're going to pop that in there, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. And this is our working yarn. We're going to hold those 2 tails. We're going to knit 4 needles. So now you heard that click, which means that it just clicked on number 1. That means I'm working on number 1. You're going to take both ends of your working yarn and help those over the dividers, just like I did really quickly without saying so. And then you're going to pull on it, and what it does is it tightens up your tension there at the beginning of your project. And once you have your project off your machine, then you have a nicer tension at the beginning, and it's not a loose tension on the first few needles and then a tighter tension all the way around. So that's why I pull on those 2 ends here. Okay, and then we're going to just continue knitting. Our machines love this yarn, as you know from the beanie, so this shouldn't take long. But you're going to go until you get, it all depends how much of a cowl you want. If you do 100 rows, it'll be just a nice size. If you want to do a little bit wider so that it hangs a bit down in the front, you can go ahead and add more rows. But for me, I want it to be a bit of a tighter one, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do 100 rows just like this, okay? So I'm going to keep going until it starts to touch the table. Once it touches the table, I'll be back with you. And you know, at this point, even at 100 rows won't be tight because this yarn has a good stretch to it, as you know, if you've used it before. Even our beanies, when you make the same amount of rows with this yarn versus a regular acrylic yarn, like say the one that we used for our waist yarn, this one always comes out longer. And it's simply because of the stretch that it has, okay? So I'm gonna keep going until I get enough rows here so that my project starts to touch the table, and then I will come back and see you. If you're new, you're going to want to come back once your project starts to touch the table and see what we do with it, okay? And I'll explain to you why we do what we're going to do. So keep going till your project touches the table, then come back and see me. And if you are not new and you know what to do, then keep going until you get to 100 rows or longer if you want it to be a long cowl, okay? All right, my project is starting to touch the table. And if we don't take care of this and roll it up, then what's going to happen as it keeps growing and growing and growing, it starts to buckle up here. And when it starts to push up here, what happens is you could risk dropping a loop off these red teeth. As this pushes up and pushes up, you lose your tighter tension that's around here that's keeping that yarn over those red teeth. And if you drop one of these little loops off these red teeth, your row will begin to drop all the way down. So we want to take our piece and we want to just roll it up over itself. Now with this beautiful yarn, it has a hard time staying because it's so soft, but you just make it work and you roll it. The tighter you can roll this one into it, the smallest donut, then it'll stay better for you. So there we go. And what that does is it keeps tension around the inside of the barrel here tighter as you're knitting, and keeps your stitches nice and even and prevents this little loop from dropping off your red teeth. So that is what you have to do once your project starts to touch the table. And then every 15 or so rows, you can just roll it up a little bit more. If you're doing a really long scarf, then you're constantly knitting and rolling, knitting and rolling and knitting and rolling. And that will benefit you and help you to prevent dropped stitches. So there we go. I'm moving into this blue color now, which is, oh, so gorgeous. I'm going to keep going till I have 100 rows, and then friends, I'll see you back. Just finishing up row 100, watching for that black divider that I take a permanent marker and mark to come around. And once that's done, I can then cut off my yarn tail. Make it long enough to go around your barrel at least 2.5 times. And we're going to pop that into the center. Then we're going to take our waist yarn, pop that back into the yarn guide in between the last white and the first black. We have to put a little bit of tension on this because our working yarn here still has to be, these two needles have to still knit. So we just want to have a nice even tension on them. So there we go, those are done. Now I can slowly go around with this yarn. And I say slowly because I want that last row before this to make sure those loops go down over the red teeth before it picks this waist yarn up. There we go. I'm going to knit 7 rows of waist yarn. Okay, that's 7 rows, watching for that black divider. I'm going to put it in the middle of my yarn guide. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut off a yarn tail that will go around my barrel, if I measured it, 1.5 to 2 times. And we're going to do a drawstring cast off. The reason why we're going to do a drawstring cast off is because I want to hold these stitches in place as we work with our ends. If I was just going to close this off in a quick manner, all I would do is put this into the center here and rotate my barrel twice, and my project would come off. But all these stitches are loose, so you must remember they're going to start unraveling. So to prevent that from happening before I'm done doing what I need to do, I will hold those stitches with a drawstring cast off. Not for the purpose of cinching, because that's not what we're going to do. So I'm going to bring that barrel all the way around. This is the first needle. This one popped up already. This one's next to pop up, and this is the one we're going to take off. So you don't want to go any farther than this because if that needle pops up, it'll push that loop off the teeth before you have a chance to pick it up, and you don't want that, okay? So then we're going to just take our needle and we're going to pick up our stitches. Once we get some slack in here, you can pick up more than 1 or 2 at a time. Just like that. Rotate your barrel. Again, making sure you don't go too far because this one's getting ready to pop up. We don't want this one to pop up before we take the stitch off. There we go. And pull straight out like this. If you pull up like this and you pull too far, you'll risk taking the loop off that other one as you're working, and then you'll drop the room. So we just got to remember all these little tips to help us. Pull through. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove all my stitches all the way around. I have removed my project from the machine and removed my machine from my workstation. And now what we're going to do is we're going to unroll it and we're going to stretch it. We're going to stretch it widthwise and we're going to gently stretch it lengthwise as well. That just helps to put all the stitches where they need to be and softens it up and just makes a big difference. There we go. Make sure all your tails are coming out the right side that they belong. This one is tucked away in there, so I'm going to bring it out. Okay, from here we're going to take 4 stitch markers in 2 different colors. So we want 2 and 2. Okay, that will help us to see our first and our last stitches on each side here. What we're going to do is you're going to grab the side that you that we took off last, and so that's the one where you got your long tail here. Okay, and what we're going to do is I'm going to just turn it this way. We're going to determine what our first and our last stitches are. Before you do that, I want you to put it so that your tails are at the top center like that. That's how we're going to begin, and then you're going to just let this work its way out so it's the same all the way down. So there we go. We've got our tails at the top in the center. When you take your waste yarn and you look at what loop it's going through last, it's this one here. We're going to take our stitch marker, choose whatever color, and we're going to pop it in that stitch. Okay, we're going to take the other color of stitch marker and we're going to pop it in the stitch that is attached to this long tail. So if you pull on this loop right here, it's the first loop, it's beside this one. If you pull on it, that's the last loop, okay? And we're going to take our stitch marker and we're going to pop that in there, just like that. You know I love bobby pins for stitch markers and I always use them, but when it comes to stuff like this, you need one that closes, okay? Leave that like that, bring up the other side and let it look at each other, okay? So then you have your yarn tails in the center at the top here, okay? I'm going to turn this way for the sake of seeing it in the video better and for me to be able to see it better. When you take your waste yarn and you pull on it, it's coming through this loop right here. So if I was to pull on this just like this, it's coming through that last loop. You want to take your red one, okay? Because now that you've got them facing each other, you want the red one. And you're going to put it in that loop. Then you're going to take your yellow one and you're going to put it on the other side. Now where your working yarn is coming out, that loop that's right beside it is the first one that you want to take, okay? And put your yellow one in there. Now we've got our yellows and our reds that are matching. Doesn't matter if it's this way now or this way. We just needed to make sure we placed our stitch markers in the right place. But if you want to follow me exactly, do it so that the long strand that you left is closest to your body. Okay, I'm going to take these long ones and just cut them off a little bit just to get them out of our way. We don't want them tangling around our yarn as we're working. Actually, we don't want to tuck that in because we want to be able to get at it. So we're going to put our yarn tail on our needle. We're going to do the Kitchener stitch. You can see it's coming out of the red one here. So it's coming out of the one to the right, which is what we want. We're going to go into the yellow one and we're going to begin our Kitchener stitch. So we're going to go from your body. I'm going to call this the center, okay, because it is. This is the center. So you're going to go from the outside into the center with this one, and then you're going to come up into this other one, just like that. So you're going to go from the center to the outside. just like that. Now on some of the other, all of my other videos where I've started the Kitchener stitch, I went into the first one on the bottom here and the first one on the top here, and then I did my patterning. But I've realized that and you will get the same result if you choose to do that. I'm not meaning to confuse you, but when we end off, we're going to end off on the last one and the first one, so it's going to connect that way. So I'm just going to get right into my patterning here, and not just take one, but I'm going to start off with the 2 stitches here. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's good. Just follow what I'm doing here, okay? So we're going to come up to the top here, and we're going to go from the outside into the center here, and then we're going to go back to the outside, picking up that second one. Now, if you look at this, when I have my needle going across, it looks like a V stitch with the point of the V going up. And that is something that you want to visualize, because once I get past these stitch markers a little bit, I'm going to show you how I visualize when I'm doing the Kitchener stitch, and it will probably help you as well, okay? But we just got to get past this little section of stitch markers here. So here's the one that we worked before. We went, this is the first stitch. It's already attached to this. It's the second one away from this stitch marker. We worked it already, but we got to go back into it, okay? If you bend that up so that the point of the stitch, see this V? It's closest to your body when it's on this bottom half, okay? This is the one that we came out of the last time, but we have to go back into it. So if you were to fold that up so the point of the V is facing you, all you have to do is go straight across. You see that? And that's how you can visualize it. So on the bottom, the point of the V is facing you, and you're going to pull this, but you're not going to pull it tight. You just want them to come together, but you want to have a nice loose tension, just like what your rest of your project is. You don't want to have it all squeezed really tight here, so be careful you don't pull it too tight. Here's the last stitch that we worked, and we're coming out of it. You can see that. Take that stitch and the next one, and if you bend that so that the point of the V is away from you this time, it's hard to see with these little flecks, but you can see that here's the stitch. The V is like this, okay? You're gonna go right across and pick that up. See, there we go. And you're gonna pull that through. If you can get that visual, you'll be able to always get the Kitchener stitch without any problem, okay? If you're a visual person like what I am. Then we're gonna go back down to the bottom. This is the last one that we worked. So you can see the yarn tail coming out of it. Fold that so the point of the V is closest to your body, right? Like that. Then you're going to just go across and pick that whole stitch up. And pull. You're going to go up to the top. Now the point of the V is going to face away from you. Just like that. And then you can go across. Just like that. And once you get that visual, then you know, here's the one we came out of. Then you know to just go like this. Okay, and you'll swing it down and up and pull. And it's like going right across that stitch. Up to the top here, you always start in the one that you just came out of. There we go, there's my point, come across. And again. And again. And then you just keep moving this so that you have a longer stretch here. And we're gonna make that point to the V closest to your body. Up at the top here, make the point of the V away from your body. And you're gonna continue this all the way around. And this is why you needed to have a longer tail on here, like a fairly long one, that goes around your piece at least twice. Because it actually uses quite a bit of yarn to get around this little piece. Okay, and you're gonna maintain this patterning all the way around till you get to the last 2 stitches, and then I'll see you back. Enjoy it, it's fun. If you're new to doing this and it's like your first or your second time, be proud of yourself if you complete it, and you will complete it, because I have faith in you. But we all started somewhere. I'm telling you, when I started doing the Kitchener stitch, it confused me. It really, really did, until I saw the visual in my head, and I said, you know what, let's do a visual. And then now I can't unsee it, which is good. So there, there's my visual. I'm gonna go straight across. And here's my visual. I'm gonna go straight across. Okay, so I'm gonna do that till I get to the end. And then friends, I will see you back. All right, so if the end is near and you feel that you don't have a long enough tail, I know that I'll make it, but it really is gonna be barely. This is what you do. Okay, so I have it coming out the top. My next one is to go in to the bottom. I'm gonna let go of that. I'm gonna take my new tail, pop that on my yarn, on my needle. I'm going to go into this one like I would normally, okay, just like that, thinking that it's the end of this one. Pull that through. And then from there, I'm going to tie these two ends, just like that. In a firm knot. I'm going to cut those two off. I'm going to tuck these ends into my tube. And there we go. I've got another piece of yarn. Because it's very hard to sometimes estimate how much you need. You need more than what you think you need. And oftentimes I will make it too short. So then that's just how you add, and it's very, very easy to do. You might want to back it up and look one more time if that was too fast for you, okay? All right, friends, we're coming close to the end. We started in the yellow, and we're gonna end in the yellow. And that will join our last and our first stitches. Okay, so I'm gonna just finish here. There's another one hiding down in there before my stitch marker, and there it is. And there's another one hiding down here, and there it is. Be careful that you don't miss that last one that's tucked in there, okay? The last one before your stitch marker. So now I'm gonna pick up this one, go into the stitch marker, go across just like so, go up to the top. Here's where I came out. I'm gonna go across, pick up that one, and then from there, get that stitch marker out of there. I'm going to go back into this last stitch, which is a stitch marker, and into the first one. There's my V at the bottom. Very hard to see, but you got it. You get the, you know the technique already, so that's good. Back up here, I'm gonna go into the red one, into the yellow one, and join the first and the last together in that manner. I'm gonna then take off my stitch markers, get them out of the way. Okay, we are going to, all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this long one off a little bit shorter just so that I don't have all this tangling around my waste yarn as I take it off. And now we're going to remove our waste yarn. So to do that, we're going to, it doesn't matter which side you go, it's going to be the same on both ways. But take your tail and find which way it's coming from. And it's coming this way, out here this way. So I'm going to just roll up till I get to the very top row there, pinch a stitch, and take out that top row. I'm going to go around, go down about 6 or 8 or 10 stitches, find the top, pinch the stitch, pull out that top row. This is exactly what we're going to do for the other side as well, the other waste yarn that we've got on here. Okay, and keep going around, rolling it up, pinching that stitch to hold it in place so that you can pull out that top row. And I'm almost around, so I'm going to just pinch it and pull. Then you can go ahead and remove your waste yarn just by going around and around. Normally I would wind it up as I go, but for the sake of the camera, I'm just going to hold it in my hand and around, just like this, until you have all your waste yarn removed. And you're going to do it again, like I said, for the other piece, but I'm going to just finish this one with you. Other piece meaning this one here, of course. And underneath. And around. Sometimes it snags on that first stitch. Yep, see what happened here? It snagged. So we're going to just cut this off and then grab it here. I'll show you what happened. It split the stitch. So when I was taking my needle through with this yarn tail, I split the yarn here, and that's all that happened there. So don't pull so hard that you wreck your stitches there. You just got to cut that little snagged part off and take it off. We'll fix that little loop in a second, okay? So then you're going to set that aside, and you're going to go ahead and do the same thing with this one. You find which way your tail is going. If you find your tail, there it is. Okay, it's coming from this way. We're going to take off that first row and then unwind it again. Okay, unravel it. So go ahead and do that, and I'll see you when you have this piece off. There we go. All right, both pieces are off. Now you can just smooth this out again. You can take a little look at this. And it's absolutely perfect. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, I'm going to tie, and tie another knot. Do you know, we all have to learn some techniques by somebody else teaching us. And the Kitchener stitch I learned by YouTube, and I watched many YouTube videos until I could figure it out, and then I came up with my own techniques, like finding the V-stitch and going straight across. And this is the first piece. I'm going to share this with you. This is the first piece where I decided I'm going to start doing the stitch automatically in the first two stitches, come around and join the last one with the first one, and do it that way, because, and I never seen that on any videos. It just made sense to me. Rather than starting just with one stitch on each side and then figuring it and tying it. You know, that's good too, because it works. But for me, I visualized it and I thought, it only makes sense for me to start at the very beginning like that and to end by connecting them. And I am seeing just from this piece that it worked beautifully, absolutely worked beautifully. So you can watch some of my other videos and either do it that way or do it this new way that I just figured out. And this is how I'm going to continue doing it, because I just think that so far it's given me the nicest finish from any other time that I've done the Kitchener stitch. So, you know, we learn and we grow, and I might be doing YouTube videos, but I still am learning all the time. You know, it's a process, right? So there we go. We have our beautiful, beautiful neck warmer. Okay, now friends, I was in the States this last weekend, and I love buying yarn in the States. I mean, I love buying yarn in Canada too, but you have yarn in the States that we can't get here. And I will confess, I bought lots of yarn. This isn't one of them, but I also bought some buttons. They had a great sale on buttons, and so Joanne, so this button I'm gonna sew on here just for a nice little look, but you know what, this is the right side. I like the wrong side. I like the wrong side for this one, so I'm going to either choose to sew it there or here. I think where I had it at first is the best. Yeah, I don't like those colorings. I'm gonna add it right here so it picks up on this color with this color, and I am going to sew those on just like that. And it's just a little embellishment. You can sew them how close or how far you want. You can just do one on, you can do it like that. You can do it how you like, but I'm going to sew them on just so that they're just like that. Now I'm thinking, do I want this side? No, I kind of like this side, and we're going to see what happens. So I'm going to thread that yarn. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go only through one layer. So that's going to be a little tricky at first, because if I go through both, then there's not going to be much stretch in this particular area, because it's going to sew them together. So I'm going to just go into one, and I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to go under one layer again and back up through here. I'm going to tie this off. I mean, this is an embellishment. It's not going to come off if you just put 2 strands like that. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to pop these both on my needle. I'm going to go into the one loop and in between my work there and pull it out. And tug on that so that that knot goes on the inside. You saw that. You could probably see it happening as I did it. And then I'm going to cut that off. And I'm going to sew this other one on just like that. Go ahead. If you are embellishing, go ahead and do that. And I'll see you in a second. There we go. I'm loving that. Okay. So I'm going to just give you a quick measurement here that this is 12 inches unstretched. And I put it over my neck and it is perfect. So there you go. We got, still, I'll show you. We got lots of yarn left in this ball. So friends, you can make another neck warmer with this, or you can make something with this. I don't know what, but you can make something with this and maybe another beanie. And yeah, have fun. Once again, friends, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me in another tutorial. Thank you so much for supporting my channel by watching and by hitting that like and subscribing, and just for commenting all the time and being so positive. You guys just make this journey for me so much fun, and I just really appreciate you. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and if you go ahead and make a set, please tag me in whatever Facebook groups you're in. Tag Shelley Weeb. And if I'm in that group, I'll get a notification and I'll be able to come and see it. So please make sure that you add the link as well when you post any of my projects in different Facebook groups. I'd appreciate that so much, you guys. So thanks again for joining me. I hope you guys have a real great day. Take care, and we'll see you soon.